The Welt Pocket. In this video, our making of this sample, you're going to need two 5 by 1 inch pieces. Those are in your kit. You will have a 5 by 6 inch piece here, and it should already have a pre-marked rectangle on it. That's actually going to be for our stitching line. And then one piece that is 6 by 8. Now then, the Welt Pocket is probably one of our most challenging samples to create, but it makes a great pocket. These same steps can be used for a very small buttonhole. It's called a bound buttonhole, and we'll get started here. I'm going to set up and do 2 steps before we go over to the iron. The first one being taking our 2 little strips here. They are going to make the 2 little, kind of like little lips for a welt pocket. Some pockets can have 2 of them. Some pockets may only have 1 welt, like a breast pocket on a men's jacket. The type we're going to make, you'll typically see on the back of men's and women's dress slacks, and all other kinds of welt pockets out there. There's actually plenty of other methods as well to make them. I find this is one of the easiest ones that I really like. This piece here I'm just doing in a different color fabric so it's easier to see in this video. Normally you would probably use the same fabric as the rest of the garment in order to not see the contrast edges. But our first step will be to sew our smaller pieces here together with a basting stitch. So turn your machine stitch length up to a 4. These are 1 inch wide, so I'm going to use my 1/2 inch seam guide here on my throat plate in order to sew this with a seam right down the center. It's back stitching, no back stitching on this because it's a basting stitch. Alright, so that one's set up. That aside, and our next one here is stitching the rectangle right through here. Make sure that you are lined up parallel to the top edge. I came down about 2 inches from that top edge. Now then, make sure you dial down your stitch length to 2.5, the normal length. And then here, I don't start at a corner. I prefer to start on one of the longer edges. And with this, I go ahead and set my needle in so that I can see if I'm right on my line. And I don't worry about back stitching on this one again because I will return to my originating spot. And then you want to be very careful and precise to that corner. Forward a couple stitches on the short end, and boom. Then down this other side. Slow down as you near the end. Turn right on your corner. And then last. Alright. And then here I'm going to overlap my stitches, and that should be fine. Make sure your thread take-up lever is all the way to the top, and then remove your piece, clipping your thread tails. Alright. Now then, to prepare this one also for ironing, we need to cut in the little window out here. But we need to have it cut a certain way. I fold this back on itself so that my lines are lined up on each other. That way I can take a little snip right here in the middle. I want both sides about the same distance from my cut to my stitch line. That way I've got a little slit in order to be able to get my scissors in here. Now then, I'm going to go ahead and cut this down here, but as I near the end, I'm actually going to turn to snip out towards my corners. It makes kind of a little Y in my cuts. I want to cut to, but not through my stitching. I need to get that as close to that corner as possible. In fact, if you can see that, I probably need to clip just a few more. And this will allow the seam allowances to fold back and my sewn edge to be ironed and pressed nice and sharp. There we go. Let me get that yarn out of the way. And then again, out to these corners, cut up to but not through your stitching. Okay, so over to the iron to press our two pieces here. The first one is my basted set. I am actually going to fold these so that I get wrong sides together. And get in between there. Kind of like making an X. So both wrong sides together so I can see the right sides out here. Okay. Now then, on this one, couple steps first before I go to turn it. I like to fold that up, press towards here, and then I'll go ahead and do my other side like so. That just makes my turning step just a little easier if I can get those pressed. Okay. Now then I'm going to turn the lighter colored fabric to the back side of my blue fabric. Okay. And if my corners are not pulling nice and flat through here, I may need to flip it back out and get a nice clip right up to, but not through my stitching to be able to make my corners. Now, as I get ready to press this, I want to pull and roll it just so that I see the tiniest little bit of the fabric from the front side. So let's see here as I press that. And you may have to do it in a couple stages. Get one section secured, work down this one long edge, and then the other piece. Okay. And the top edge here. There we go. Okay. The idea is that from this side you really should not be able to see that lighter colored fabric, but when you make a pocket like this, your fabrics would probably be matching. Now for setting up the welt that goes inside here. Okay, these are nice and pressed, and you want to lay this so that you see your seam line right down the middle. You also want it somewhat balanced. It should be cut same distance wide as your lighter color fabric. Okay, and for this step, I'm going to go ahead and pin down one side, get that secured, and come back around the other side. Okay, back over to the sewing machine. And needle in, and my stitching will be very close to my folded edge here, pressed edge. And again, I want to make sure that this stitch line, my basted seam line, is right in the middle. And this is also a way you could insert a zipper into a pocket for like a jacket or a bag, or pockets on skirts or something. It's a great little method for it. And then one more here. Okay, coming down this other edge. This side. And then back to where I started. Again, I'm just going to overlap right on top of that stitching for a little ways, and then not worry about back tacking because I don't want an added thickness right here from the front side. Okay, there we go. So there is our piece so far. Let me clear that away. Okay, now setting up to close up our pocket, I will fold up this, and it forms our pocket. It's going to be kind of a shallow one. And I need to sew my two sides. All right. Now sometimes this could have just been a front and a, you would be putting a second backing piece to the pocket instead of just folding it. Either way is fine. Pull that out of the way and stitch. Now, like I said, there are plenty other ways that a welt pocket can be constructed. This is just one I find to be fairly simple and friendly to the sewer. Different patterns will walk you through different steps. You can also look up in different sewing resources, books and such. Your textbook actually gives quite a few separate methods. Now then, the very last step here, after making the pocket in the back, is to open up your seams, right? Your basted seam. And you want to be very careful you don't cut your fabric. You're just getting your threads here. Oh, I see my little welts got off there a little bit. And then you clean out all your little threads. You don't want those hanging. You wouldn't buy stuff at the store with threads hanging off of them. That's my rule of thumb. Would you buy it like that? Nope. Okay. And clear that one out. There we go. And now you have a welt pocket. There we go. If you will photograph this one from this front edge, maybe even insert your hand or something in there, your ruler or something, and then also photograph it from the back. That would be fantastic. Thank you.